Meeting. I'd like to call the Board of Selectmen regular meeting to order on Tuesday, October 5th, in the year 2021 at 7:22 p.m. First is our rules for a hybrid virtual meeting. This meeting will be held both in person and virtual. The session is being video and audio recorded. Board members and staff who are joining virtually, well, there aren't any, so that's fine. If a member of the public joining virtually creates an audio or video disruption, they may be manually ejected from the meeting upon recommendation of the staff or the first selectman. Public input should have been in 24 hours prior to the meeting. If you are attending virtually, public comments during the meeting can be submitted through the chat feature or by waving your hand and requesting your mic to be unmuted. During those times, you are allowed to speak, such as audience of citizen, or if you are called upon as a subject matter expert. If you are called upon or you would like to talk and you are called upon, please include in both methods your name and address. I now ask you to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Approval of the agenda. I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. I move to approve the Board of Selectmen regular meeting minutes for September 21st, 2021. Any discussion?
On the permit link on 7.2. Wasn't it you who said that? And I agreed with you.
Yes, that's what I was looking for.
So give credit to where credit is due. He's the one that said he was good with the fees being what they were, and I just agreed with what Rob had said. I noticed it too.
Anything else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Opposed? Thank you. Audience of citizens. Anything that's not on the agenda? Anybody in the chat? Anybody waving their hand?
No.
Seeing none, thank you. Old business, discussion and vote to approve the first round of approved projects to be funded through the American Rescue Plan Act.
I move that we table that for the time being. I think that we need to look into this a little.
Absolutely.
Before we,
Right, I agree.
so it's more.
Okay, any discussion?
I concur.
Okay.
Totally.
So I'll have a piece of discussion. We'll put together the list of the items that people brought forth over there. We'll present it. We will send it out to you in an email form and ask you to take a look at some of those things. And then we will talk about it at our next meeting. Or if the town is not ready to discuss it, because it looks like there's a lot of information that's going to have to be dug up, it may be a while. So, thank you. All
There's
those,
no hurry, right?
yeah, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Approval of the Sampson Aqua Memorial Garden plaque. Okay, this came before us 2 weeks ago. We had some questions on it, so before I make a motion, is anybody here available to talk on that? Joan?
Joan.
Wonderful. You're the subject matter expert. What's your name and address and dazzle, please?
Joan Hill, 23 Farnsworth Road. Do you have that material? Okay.
You getting ours?
Oh, no, I mean the
Oh, yeah,
actual,
yeah, I'll get
the
it.
die bond and the material. Okay, so, this sign, it's not just a plaque, is going to be 18 inches by 34 inches. It's going to be printed on die bond, which he's about to get, so I'll hand that around, which is a rigid material in itself. And it's going to be backed by outdoor pressure treated plywood, and then an additional piece of pressure treated wood, and then mounted with a collar over the post that's already in place. So if anyone's walked out there to the garden, you'll see a wooden post with a slanted top on it, about this high, so it's good for children and perhaps wheelchairs, I'm not too sure. But anyway, the idea of this plaque was to celebrate Samson Occam's straddling of the two cultures, basically, both the Native American and the European. And so we have a garden that has medicinal, I'm sorry, I should go backwards. He wrote a manuscript about uses of native plants, both medicinal and other. And so we're taking those plants and planted them in the periphery. There's a lawn in the middle. There's the outhouse just to make a border. And anyway, so this sign stands right behind the Indian school, and it talks about his life as a Native American and as a European in the sense of having become a Presbyterian minister, and the fact that he straddled those two worlds. And this garden is a symbol of that because it has both the European plants that were brought over by Europeans and it has the native plants, okay? So anyway, so here's the die bond. I'll just pass it around. It's totally rigid in itself. So I heard the concern was this thing might fall over or break or something like that. So number one, the post is already in concrete. That's not falling over. It's possible with a 34 inches, you could have put two posts, but I've never had to do that before. So I put up a couple of interpreter panels around town and other towns, and I don't go with the two posts until it's over 4 feet. So unless somebody actually tried to stand on it, crawl up and sit on it or something, it would be really hard to pull it free from its foundation. Anyway, and this is the vinyl, or sorry, resin edging is gonna go over the sign. So you all have here's the sign, and it actually has a white border. So that border will be covered by this piece of this. So that's gonna cover the outside edges, so you don't see the rough wood. It'll also protect it a little bit, but it's not doing anything structural.
Well,
It's
with
just
the
a picture
plywood
frame.
underneath, with the plywood underneath, you're totally.
Yeah, so anyway, so the parts that are exposed to the weather are already pressure treated.
Sure.
And I'll also paint them so they don't look like wood. They're gonna be sort of green to match the plaque. So, any questions?
I'm sorry, 18 by 32 or 36?
34,
34.
34, so it's about that big. So I don't know if you ever have seen them, but I sent a picture, I think, to Judy at least, of the signs that put up in Lebanon, all along these different buildings on the green. They have
Yes.
them on these two little spindly sticks, which could fall over. But anyway, that gives you an idea of the size. So if you've seen those, you kind of know how big they are. It's not a giant interpretive panel that needs to be, like I say, on a steel post. And the idea too was to make it sort of rustic. We already have this lovely granite pillar that the town used. So this was an idea of something a little bit more friendly. And the other thing that's going to be in, if you all permit it, is next to this sign, we're going to have a mailbox. And in the mailbox, we're going to have a laminated sheet that describes each of the plants and their uses. So people will take it out of the mailbox, walk around, and put it back. So if you have strong feelings about the appearance of that or its inclusion, we'll do whatever you
I
want.
think it's a great idea. How about, you gonna put any sticks or anything, markers at the plants, or are
We
they?
thought about that, but that's, more of an issue in terms of maintenance to have plant signs
tough.
there. So we figured this is what a lot of places have done. Again, in Lebanon, they have a historic garden by the Jonathan Trumbull Jr. House. And it has that system with mailbox and the things. So if it doesn't work out, we can put signs in the ground.
Or you could have a code, QR code, what is it, what kind of?
Oh,
QR?
wow.
QR code?
And if you scan that, you
That's
can
actually
get
a
a
really
map
good idea.
and names of the plants in the garden,
Well,
so
they
we
could get
don't
the map.
find.
Right.
So we don't find that piece of paper or a couple of them.
Yep.
Blowing in the wind, or somebody doesn't put it back, or somebody takes it.
Yep.
Listen, that's how I read menus now, so
We can use,
if I can
we
do
can
it.
use QR codes. It's only friendly to people who have cell phones that work. But anyway, okay, whatever you like, we haven't gotten to that part yet, so if you have strong feelings about how we're communicating
You can do
about
both.
plants,
Easy enough to do.
yeah, so, okay. So,
Okay,
Great.
in hearing that, I move to approve the Sampson Ocker Memorial Garden plaque as presented. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
And I should mention, the Historical Society is paying the $50 for the plaque, so no expense to the town.
And I'll forward it to the Board of Ed next year.
Great. New petition regarding replacing water drain pipes with a box culvert on Pine Street.
Now I have Beth Luck on the meeting, Steve, if you want her to address some of those thoughts.
Where did this come from?
The residents around Pine Street.
Beth, can you talk to this?
Sure. So during the last storm, the twin culverts did overtop and flood and wash out part of the outlet end of the street and pipe. So we will have an engineer look at the capacity of those pipes, but that's something that probably will be at least a 2-year project minimum, depending on what they determine as far as capacity. So in the time being, we've repaired the road. We've also stabilized the outlet side with riprap. So if it did overtop again, it'll prevent the road from washing out.
You know, have you asked the guys the history? Has it happened, how many times before in the last 10 years? Any idea?
Andy said that in his time, it's happened at least 2 other times, and he's worked for the town over 30 years.
30 years happened 2 other times.
Said never to the extent that he saw this past storm.
Okay, and moving to a box culvert, what do you think the cost would be? Just a ballpark.
You're looking over $1 million, $1.2 million maybe for that site.
How many sites like that do we have in town?
That need an upgrade like that.
That may need an upgrade like that.
There's another culvert past time.
There could be 3 other locations.
Okay, any questions for Beth, anybody on the board? Thank you. We'll get, if anybody has questions while we look at this. Okay, we need to look at it a little bit further.
Yes.
We need to have the engineer look at it.
I mean, I don't understand a box culvert. What are you doing?
So right now you have 2 pipes that all the water hits.
Right.
The problem with pipes is any debris that hits a pipe that blocks or stops, more debris gets clogged.
Mhm.
So a box culvert is a much bigger opening, allowing everything to go under the road. So it is a better way,
It's a better system.
but pipes in the day were much more economical way to do it. But the problem with pipes is they rust out.
Right.
So I guarantee these pipes are rusting. And eventually the bottom is gonna be gone. So normally we replace pipes by either slip lining them with a plastic slip liner,
Mhm.
so the water goes through faster, or a box culvert. So slip lining is an inexpensive way if the capacity
So it's
works.
because of all the rain. we've had.
Right, but you need an engineer to do an analysis. The problem is this area on Pine Street, it floods on each side of the bridge. So the water goes right around the bridge and keeps going. So it's a tough area because it's lowland all around that bridge.
Right, so it's wet anyways.
Mark, I was out of town when that happened. Was there debris? Was this the case in this particular situation?
It wasn't debris, it was just
This was just
a massive amount of water. And it was 50 yards, the stream went 50 yards on each side of the culvert.
So
So it was 100-yard
That was a
wide flood.
football.
So I would expect that this may be a, I don't know, being like 100-year, 200-year storm, this is probably a very excessive storm in the analysis. A lot of times the engineers do the analysis, they don't design for a 200-year storm, let's say. So this could just be I won't say it's once in a lifetime, because we're gonna have these a lot more, but
It was a lot of water.
it's a lot of water. So they might have box culvert, might have not been able to handle it.
Correct. But it was at least 5.5 inches of rain in those 3 hours. So it was a lot.
So we'll see what the engineer says.
Okay.
Thank you. Columbia Lake, application for replacement of a dock and seawall for Carmen Vance, Janice Citadel, One Beach Road. Jim, you're on that. So this is, I've gotten a couple of calls on this, so I just want to invite Jim Blair. Carmen, Jim is doing the work for you, the contractor.
Correct. See you on the.
Yes, he's on.
He's there. Oh, I was out looking for you in the parking lot.
This is where he is. Jim,
I'm here.
you have paperwork here. I didn't look at the drawing, so let me see.
So the challenge that Jim can explain is he's planning to tear down the existing wall. And then John Valenti has agreed to work with Jim on exactly where the replacement wall will go and what the parameters were. Jim can explain that in more detail if you want.
Yeah, so I'm looking at your drawing here, Jim,
Yes, sir.
and you kind of left out the two tips of the wall that you want to connect.
Yeah, that drawing is maybe not the best to scale to show exactly what's going on. And I have a picture, but it's on my phone, so forgive me, but there's an area that comes out, it's sort of a curved fashion. It begins where they have a concrete dock and then it swings out into the lake. And there's a corner where it starts to then return, and follow the bank, parallel to the bank, heading towards the Stevens property, the westward direction. And so that the wall right there, it's anything past there going to Stevens property has fallen down. And so that,
Show that, okay? Because I was
Yeah.
out.
I don't know if I show that in the drawing. So then there's, at the Stevens property, there's their wall where it ends. And so I'm connecting those 2 points and reestablishing the bank behind, because the bank has eroded. The distances match from shrubbery that's been there, that the shrubbery that's there, the junipers are going to be removed. That's been there for several, I don't know, decades, but it's been there a long time. And so now it's the same distance in both spots. So that's my logic, is that that's where it goes. And the other part of it is the preservation of the tree, which I have spoken to an arborist about. And if I dig into that bank at all, that tree is very healthy and in great shape. And, digging around there and undermining that might cause some serious problems. And that's a 100-plus-year-old tree. I mean, it's just
That tree, for everybody who's looking at their map, is where the deck out, where it says deck on the drawing here, you have a small corner that's out pouch type of thing. The tree is right near there. It's a large tree with a very established root system. And you said you had an arborist come out and look at the tree?
Yeah, I was talking to Eric Pearson about it a little bit, and the feeling was, you got to stay out away from those roots.
Okay. But I, to be fair and balanced, I got a phone call and they said they believe that the stone wall that they're looking to put in place here is encroaching on the lake. It's actually off where the land has eroded down, and they think if they matched the point of the Stevens and that small little tip there of rocks, they would be encroaching on the lake. Yes, Carl?
When we moved there, there was still part of that wall. There's the big tree, and in front of it are junipers. Those junipers have slowly begun to fall into the water. When the wall was there, we literally could go out, stand there and trim the junipers from standing on that wall. It's all washed away now. And you all know there is not anyone in this town that cares more about Columbia Lake than I do. I lived there for 30 years. I fought as a selectman every time we did something. So I would never try to do or to encroach and take land from the lake.
Okay.
It is simply by the height of the water, the wind, the whatever, has destroyed that whole section and has wiped away the dirt.
So it's
Thank you.
been over time, not necessarily because of all.
It's over time, it's gotten worse in the last years, and that's why we decided we have to do something, or the whole, excuse me, damn side of the front of the yard is gonna fall in the water.
And we know that we're having the same problem with the town beach.
Yeah.
She's getting the same wind and the currents hitting her that hit the town beach and the dock that we're now having to do work on, so.
Yeah.
It's
So
not surprising that she's having that problem.
LMAC has recommended that we approve this. I did get, like I said, I got a call concern. I will tell you, I went out there and looked at it. I do not see where building the wall to connect these two existing pieces that jut out. One is a wall by the neighbor and the other is the jutted out of a couple. Looks like the corner of an existing wall. I don't see where it enhances their property at all. It does save the tree. In addition to that, one of the people on the LMAC commission who went out and looked at this said, sometimes this stuff is ridiculous. It's common sense. When you look there, it's one end of a wall that should be connected to the other end of the wall. I don't know why we, make things so difficult. I didn't even ask him about it. This was in a conversation about some of the things that go on. And so, I make a motion that we approve the repair. Tell me about the dock. What are you doing to the dock? It says the dock also.
The dock will be replaced in kind. Because one of the things that we're two things, the pilings to the dock, I think are suspect at best. I haven't seen it at drawdown yet. I have to investigate once the lake's drawn down. So there's some problems out there with that. And then the other thing is that we are surfacing the concrete, so it's more attractive and functional. There's the concrete starting to peel and stuff. So when we treat that concrete, we're going to rise that concrete dock is going to go up by a couple, 3 inches. And so to avoid a tripping hazard and to replace, some old boards and some worn out things, we just replace the dock and make it match that concrete pier that's there when we're done. So it'll be replaced as it is.
That's the bottom line. I make a motion that we approve the application from Carmen Vance and Janice Thibodeau for replacement and repair of the dock and seawall. Any other discussion?
Yes, I'd like to say that the Lake Management Advisory Committee has been very meticulous in reviewing these things, and it's on the agenda for tonight. I don't hear anybody here objecting to it, and I tend to go with their recommendations because they're closest to this, and so I support the motion.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next is the Schifrins, am I correct?
Yes.
Schifrins would like to repair their dock.
3 Sunny Slope Road.
Yeah. No, next.
And they actually already have approval. This is extending an expired approval. And that was fine.
Move that we approve the extended approval.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Good? Good.
Thank you.
Appointments, resignations, nobody left. Great. Follow up regarding the town administrator's report.
Just wanted to bring to your attention, Ingrid sent us a very detailed letter defining an approval to move an historic house and foundation right at the end of our town green, which is on Route 87. And she gave some more details about it and a salvage company that is available to review it. And I don't know, Stephen, if you want Ingrid to update us at all, but this is just a heads up for the board.
That's the town that the Tabors purchased that sits
Yeah.
5 feet from the
It
road.
was the basket.
Yeah, yes, it is, I believe planning and zoning requested that Walt and Nancy Tabor, or their organization that owns the property, demolish the house, remove it entirely because it is dangerous, and they have the right to replace it in time. The roof is overhanging the state's property, and by the way, also adjacent to the house is Columbia's ancient animal pound, which is on state property. In any case, Walt contacted me to find out if there was a historic issue here, and there is not. Even though the property is on the National Register in 1990, but it is unlivable and dangerous in its current condition. Planning and zoning has requested its removal, and there is no issue with it from a historical perspective. The National Register will be advised of its removal once it is removed. Walt Tabor asked me for information on contractors who might assist with any removal of beams or foundation stones, and I gave him 2 reputable names of contractors who are doing that for other properties in the area, including one which is in Coventry, which is the former home of Adelma Simmons, known as Cappy Lands. So I don't see that there's any issue here. However, it will create a minor nuisance once on the day that the demolition occurs.
And next, thank you. Next, I just wanted to update everybody on the September Connecticut State Police activity report. And they had 171 calls for service. We're staying steady with at least, accident a week on our highways. So it's probably one of our bigger issues. We had 5 accidents in September. And that's probably the toughest thing our biggest challenge is get people slow down, stop being distracted in their driving.
I gotta tell you, I think it's because the cars handle it way too well. I think cars are they just handle.
Well, we really need turn lanes at
Yes,
Hunt and,
Yeah,
West.
something.
so that's a big issue.
that would be hard.
Also, Elizabeth Lunt gave us a heads up that, and this will be put on the website and everything, Columbia, the Thursday, October 7th. Old Willimantic Road will
Oh.
be closed from 7 to 4 for the removal of a very large oak tree.
Oh,
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Okay, correspondence, you have the October newsletter. And you have a letter from other people, there's some things in there. But speaking of correspondence, we have a young man here, Connor, who is now a representative from the Chronicle. And Barry told me I'm gonna write good things always about Columbia. So, we'll just spell our name correctly and shoot it from the right side, okay? You wanna say anything more?
Nope, just happy to be covering the towns that I've covered. I'm originally from Connecticut. Spent the last couple of years working in a weekly in the Hudson Valley, but it's good to be back in my home state, so.
Great, very good. Welcome, welcome. Yeah.
One of the old reporters, do you know that is now on Channel 3? What's his? Mike? He used to be our reporter from the Chronicle. He now does the broadcast from Channel 3. Tall fellow, dark hair.
Mike something?
Huh?
Mike something?
I think it was Mike.
The name will come to you.
Yes, tomorrow.
Or sometime in the middle of the night. we'll see you again.
Some senior moment. So
All right.
there's hope. You should just go on and broadcast.
We have some transfers. Okay. I make a motion to transfer the amount of $358. Building officials and facilities maintenance from contractor service to professional tech for above budget maintenance work complete on the DPW garage generators. Okay, in addition to that, okay, 357 from printing to professional tech to continue to work on the generator.
And those are 2021, right? Yes. That was last year.
Yes, may I?
Yeah. Yes. And then $149 in the inland wetlands to cover the costs outside the budget for an auger. We need an auger. And $6,000 to cover the costs outside the budget of the grant writing services for the Columbia Volunteer Fire Department, which we told them they're going after more than $1 million worth of stuff. It's an investment to write the grant, so save us some money, we're gonna pay for the grants. Any discussion? And that came from contingency. Hearing none, all those in favor of the transfers?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. And
We do everything.
Refunds in the amount of, I make a motion, we approve refunds in the amount of $1,572.60. So it's here, people pay their car taxes a couple of times and stuff, so. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. And I make a motion, we pay bills in the amount of $233,333.28. Consisting of 2021 regular, 21-22 regular, and SPL. Payment to, it's actually the little library grant and credit card and paycheck, so $233,333.28.
And the fire department, the grant.
Yeah, it's not the fire department. Saxon B. Little, SBL, right?
No, there's also
The
a
fire
fire department too.
54,000.
So are we having a problem with one of trucks? I've seen a couple of bills for the Peterbilt, some of the Peterbilt. Another, several.
Is that, yeah, that's that.
Beth, can you hear us?
Are you having trouble with one of the trucks? I've seen maintenance on, it just says Peterbilt, I believe. Or is
I'm
that,
sorry, what was that?
We're seeing bills for the Peterbilt maintenance. Are we having excessive maintenance on one of our public works trucks?
Not excessive. We did have a repair done. I'm not sure what you're looking at.
international, my bad. The
It's
14 internationals, it was like 2,000, just.
$2,000 on the international.
Yes, that we did do. But that, right now, we're prepping all the trucks, going through them, making sure they'll be ready for winter. So that took care of some leaks that it was having that we had to contract out.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Beth.
Anything else? All those in favor of paying the bills? All right, opposed? Thank you. Audience of citizen, anybody, anything else? Thank you. Board member comments?
I want to thank everybody for their thoughtful comments on at the town meeting.
Everybody had some great ideas.
It was important.
We got some work to do.
Yeah.
So, okay. That's it. Okay, we don't need an executive session, so at this time, I make a motion, we adjourn at
Good
7:57. All those in favor?
And we have some things to sign, so we're moving around.
Goodness gracious.
Good night, all.